Hello everybody. Have you ever went to a super center early in the morning, about 7 o'clock or a little after 7, and the store looks amazing? Everything's in its place, everything's clean and orderly. Or is it look or does it look like a tornado went through it and everything's just strung all around you and you can't find nothing? So let me give you a taste of one of my experience working overnight as a assistant manager. Normally, as stores, they will receive one GM, one grocery, one frozen deli dairy. But this particular night, I actually had two GM, two grocery, and one frozen dairy truck. So I ended up coming into the store at 6:30 in the evening. Normally I have to be there at 8, but I was wanting to set myself up like I needed to. And I'm glad I did, because whenever I got there, none of the trucks were unloaded. GM truck was half unloaded at 6:30, and it should have been 100% completed at 6 o'clock and started on the next one. So I ended up going to the office to see what was going on, and guess what? The management team was in the office just giggling and having a good time, and my co-manager was in there as well. She's actually a step up from my position. So all I could say, seriously, none of the trucks are done. And I just slammed the door. And I ran to the floor and started getting things going, sending people to the GM side to help unload that truck, and the grocery side to help me. I had two people helping me to get two grocery trucks unloaded, and we just ended up pulling it straight to the floor. So by 9 o'clock, I made some headway and got things where they needed to be at for my own overnight stockers. Their normal times coming in is 9 o'clock, and I have a quick meeting with them. So I ended up getting them motivated, and the way that I did that was just talking to them, just having a short meeting, talking to them, telling them how great they are. And one of my best friends works during the daytime as assistant manager over grocery, and he went through and ordered pretty heavy. He told me he ordered heavy, but this was extreme. That's why we got two grocery trucks. So I kind of threw him under the bus with to my hourlies that I had. And normally I don't do that, but I needed a tool to get them really motivated. So I got them fired up, not at me, but at him. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So we ended up rocking and rolling. Everybody was pushing hard. They understood the direction. I gave them 3 tasks. After they got done with the first one, they would move to the next one. And we was going to pick up the zoning last and get the returns put away. So because if we don't get all the freight worked, the customers can't buy empty counters. So that was my goal. So we was rocking and rolling. I was pitching in a little bit here or there, but you don't want to pitch in too much, because your overnight associates or stalkers would kind of take advantage of the management team because they're tied up, didn't know what was going on. So I'd spend probably about 5-10 minutes helping a couple of them move some freight or do whatever. So I ended up following up with a lot of my associates, and if you ask any of them, my favorite saying is, "Are you done yet?" So on that note, we ended up getting all the freight done, and was pushing to get the returns and zoning, and we was able to get all that completed except for the zoning. Was about 97% done by the time my store manager showed up at the store, and he asked me, he knew that I was upside down. I needed 12 more people to accomplish everything. So he asked me, how much freight's left, how much is on the floor, and I just looked at him and told him everything's stocked, everything's been. Wasn't able to get the zone completed, and he couldn't believe me. He said, "Well, let's walk," and we walked the whole store for a whole hour. And by the time we got done, he asked me to come to his office like he normally does. And but this particular day, I was kind of worried, did I miss something? Because he didn't say anything on the path. He just kind of nodded his head or shaking his head. So I didn't know if it went good or bad. So I ended up sitting in his office. He told me to shut the door, so I was waiting to get lit up. But he asked me how I did it. How was I able to get all the freight worked and everything pretty much done? I just told him, I just lined out my people and told them what I expected, what needed to get done, and we moved on. And I just followed up with him. So he asked me how I would grade myself. So I gave myself a C minus because he always asks, how do you think you did? Because he's a pretty smart man to see uh, what your knowledge is on the freight flow. So I gave myself, like I said, a C minus, and he told me he disagreed with that. So I was thinking the worst. I've never had anything less than a B grading wise. He said, I'm going to give you a minus because you had more freight than you can handle and you was able to get it accomplished. So he thanked me for that. And I told him, at that time, if it wasn't for my people, my associates, I couldn't get the job done. And he told me that, no, it's not that. He said, it takes a great leader to inspire people to do great things. And at that time, I didn't realize what the difference was from a manager or a leader. And at that time, I knew, a leader leads people and inspires them to do great things. They can move mountains for you if you inspire them. So on that note, I know I went over on my time, but I just wanted to tell y'all the full story, or almost a full story. So if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll tell you more about the overnight management team on how that works, and have a good night.